that. Oh, I'm sorry. I know this is not the singing.
You should be sorry. Sorry is a perpetual state with you.
We ought to challenge. I challenge you to an IG sing-off. How's that? Do you think we're qualified for that?
I am.
Oh, I am. And by insinuation, I'm not.
That's not an insinuation. It is a statement of fact. You are not. Have you heard you?
Have I heard me?
Just go ahead and give everybody a little taste of what you got right now. Just go ahead, do it.
Well, I'm also consider myself.
You messing up a jam too, because it's "Girl, I know you better watch out."
Watch out. Oh, that isn't him.
You ain't doing it right. Lauren will be mad at you.
I fashioned myself to be a little rapper as well. Look at me. I'm amazing. And what you don't do.
The problem is that you fashion.
Okay, wait, let me finish. I'm amazing. So what you gonna do? You can't be great like me, so just be average like you. Oh my God, I still got them skills.
Did that make you feel better?
If I had wrote them down.
I'm Roy, and that there man is Pete, and we want to welcome you to the Roy and Pete Show. Where we do our best to condition your mind for success, but every now and then we gotta let Pete talk, so stuff happens. So we just gotta go with what we got going on. We are in week 3 of a series we've been doing on entrepreneurship. Now, Pete, when you talk about or think about entrepreneurship, what do you think about? Like, what does that mean to you, entrepreneurship? Because people throw that word around. What do you think it means?
Well, so for me, I think one of the main thing when it comes to entrepreneurship, and I had to learn this over the years, right? I had opened up multiple businesses and closed them down. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, help me to learn. So put me under an entrepreneur, kind of as a mentor. And so what I've learned from being under an entrepreneur is when you're an entrepreneur, you have this drive, and not just a drive to be successful, but this stick-to-itiveness. And so no matter what the obstacle comes, you just stick with it. You don't believe that anything can take you out or take you down. You just find a way and figure out a way to get over, to overcome, to figure the problem out, to solve the crowd problem, to make sales, to make the business successful. An entrepreneur is really a mindset of success. It's more than just starting up a little business, right? It is really a mindset of success. And I had to learn that from serving under an entrepreneur because I was one, or I shouldn't say that. I had businesses, right? Multiple businesses.
Entrepreneur in training.
Working on being one. Exactly right. But missing that piece because every time I would run into an obstacle, I would self-judge and think, oh my God, I should have gone to business school. Oh my God, you did this wrong and all that. And then I realized, it is about the mindset, the stick-to-it attitude. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to keep on knocking on doors. I'm going to keep on going after customers. I'm going to figure it out. So an entrepreneur is a mindset, the mindset required to be a successful business owner. I think that's how I would describe it.
So part of what we talked about, I believe it was last session, was we talked about how long do we try out at something. We mentioned this discipleship cycle, this 3-year time frame. So,
yes.
So you're saying, so is there a time frame, a place where we ought to say, evaluate, like, okay, is it time to throw in the towel on this, or is it time to move on to something else? What's your thought on that?
And I think that you can have a passion about a particular area of business, right? And as long as you keep growing and keep learning and keep making advances, right? I think that time frame can be kind of extended. I remember, this is not exactly an entrepreneurial time example, but a young gentleman named Toby Nwigwe, right? He's a young rapper who happens to also be a Christian. He said when he realized, say what?
Is he from Africa?
The family is, but he lives in America.
Because that's Nwigwe. What's his last name? Nwigwe.
Engiwe. Nwigwe. Just like it sounds.
Get out the wig's way. But anyway, go ahead.
Exactly right. But really, really incredibly popular. The young people out there likely know him. He's clean. And he said that once he realized he had this skill, what happened was he was a football player and got injured. And so he couldn't pursue the dream of being a professional. Once he realized he had this skill, he said, I'm going to give this a decade, buy all out for a decade to see if I can make this happen. Now, depending on your situation or your station in life, whether you have to take care of kids and all that, you might have to do what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. You might have to have your regular grind, that regular job you go after, and then you're pursuing entrepreneurial things on the side, you know what I mean, your side hustle, what we call the grind and hustle. So I think 3 years is a good way to look at it. I remember one time I was looking at network marketing, and the book they recommended to everybody was called Your First Year in Network Marketing, right? Because if you come out of the gate strong, if you get those, write names down and do so many presentations, you will be on a path that would lead to success. So you at least need to come out of the gate with the mindset, okay, I'm going to give this 3 years, give this one discipleship cycle as we've talked about before. And I like to say this, the phrase has been coined that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in a decade.
Tony Robbins,
right? So exactly right. Exactly right.
Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, we want to let you know that we are here giving our opinion and our experience of what we've had. Of course, we're expecting you to be responsible young men and young women and to go out and seek competent professional help for your particular situation. And please do not spend money on anything we're saying without verifying through your own. All right.
Yes.
Because we want to keep our stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So let me ask this question. Statistically speaking, I believe it's 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 5 years?
Yes, it is.
Right? 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Why do you think they fail?
Well, I think how do we fail at so many things? Number one, we start off with these grandiose dreams, right? And then part of it is we live in America. We think that to achieve these dreams, it's going to come easy, right? And so when for instance, let's take an Instagram model. One of the things that's really big and hot are these Instagram or social media influencers, right? So now you have young people, everybody with a camera going out and trying to be an influencer in one way or another, right? And they don't realize that everything is hard work. If you're going to be successful at anything, it requires hard work. So the first thing is, I think we set up these grandiose dreams, but we also don't prepare a plan to put in the hard work to accomplish those dreams. For instance, I remember one time joining, I said, I think number one, we have these grandiose dreams, but we don't put together a plan to help us, put in the work to accomplish those dreams.
Okay.
So I remember one time when I was joining an organization, and they said, you can join this organization, you can join it for just, if all you have is 4 or 5 hours a week, you give 4 or 5 hours a week to this organization and you will be successful, right? This is when I was young, I drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, oh, okay, 4 or 5 hours a week, I ain't got with that. I can make an extra 10 grand a year, And then as soon as I joined the organization, like training was every night for the first 7 days. Well, that's 7 hours that week. In addition to training, you needed to make a list. And then on top of that, you needed to call somebody. Wait, we're up to 20 hours. And this is day two. And what I realized from that is, if you are going to be successful at anything, you must put in the time. For example, I had someone reach out to me because I've done real estate investing, was successful at that until I killed the business, right? I had moral failing, end up going through a divorce and having to shut the business down, right? But was successful up until that time when I went through the divorce. Now, I had somebody reach out to me and ask me, they said, tell me about real estate. Can I really make money on a part-time basis? And I said, yes, you will make part-time money, right? And so if ever you want to make real money, you've got to put real effort into it. So if you're putting in, 1 or 2 hours a week, after about a year and a half, you might pick up a house. You might be able to turn something, right? Because everything is really a product of effort and time. You have to put in the time.
Mike Murdoch has a saying, and his saying is that anything that's not in your life that you want is because you've been unwilling to trade time to get it.
That's right. And so you have to put it effort. So I made it clear that no matter what anybody tells you, no matter what program you listen to, if you're going to be successful at something, you have to put into the time for it. So it's really key to really look into this and say, will I enjoy spending all my free time on this, right? And so, I had to make that decision every Sunday. Well, do I really want to invest my time with Roy? Like, Lord Jesus, let me pray again. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
See, this is where the devil, you get on such a roll, and then there must be a gaping hole in your soul for the devil just to jump right back in. You just don't know how to do. So you said something actually that was profound there. So let's talk about that for a second before we move on. And that is that people fail to make a plan.
Fail to make a plan.
And there's an old saying, old cliche. It says that failing to plan is planning to fail. Right?
That's right.
It is planned by default. And by default, you are planning to not succeed at the business. Like, so one of the things that was an issue, it sounds like, with the company you were with, was one that you didn't have sufficient information. Right?
That's right. That's right. I got the sales pitch, right? But then after the covers were taken off, it's like, oh, this is real work. And because I was young, right? I didn't know that if I was going to be successful at everything, right, that I needed to put in the time. Now, the person that was presenting to me, that was telling me about this organization, I can't remember if it was insurance or one of those things. The person that was telling me about all of this, he was full-time into sales, right? He's full-time doing this. And so, yeah, he would tell anybody, that you can come in on a part-time basis, because once you got in, if you determined you had an aptitude for it or an enjoyment for it, you would naturally put in extra hours. But I was just looking for some part-time, and this was not my ultimate passion.
I like the idea, the concept of the information about, work, but you got to be prepared to work. I sold New Skin, which was a skincare line of products. I sold Amway, which is a variety of products. I did Primerica Financial Services, which was obviously financial services product. And I never lost money then, right?
That's good.
One of those things, I did not lose money, right?
Yes.
But as you said, it was work. Like when I think about like the benefit that I have and the people that listen to me financially have right now came from 2000 to 2005 for 5 years, every Tuesday and every Saturday, and then some other days in between, conferences and other things I did with Primerica. But it was every week, at least 4 to 6 hours a week in meetings, and then me going back, reading and doing some other stuff, right? So you can be successful, but my life also reflects now that 5 years that I invested in that, with the debt-free house, and like all of that stuff is there because the fruit is shown. But you've got to be willing to put in the work. And again, we jumped off of it. You got to have a plan.
And to piggyback on that, since you mentioned that, when I was going into real estate, right, going in real estate and investing, it was about from 2000 to 2004. Now, all I did was spend time learning about the real estate industry. Now, at the same time, I had my computer business, and so I had Gilead Computer Services, and so I had my largest client.
Gilead?
Yes, it is. Hallelujah. So what I did was I was traveling over the metro area and servicing real estate companies and property management companies. And then what I understood from servicing those companies and their computer needs, right, I realized, the companies that make the most money in property management owned a piece of the properties they manage. So then I'm like, I need to learn about this stuff, right? And so I started going to every real estate investment group in the metro area. I'm living in Ann Arbor, right? I drive 35 minutes to Novi. I drive an hour, I think about an hour and 20 minutes to Oakland County. I go all the way out to Dollars. It was the Detroit Organization of Leading Ladies, Landlords, and Realtors, right? All the way out there. That was about a 2-hour drive. But every single week I'm driving somewhere. I'm learning, not buying everybody's product because, there are a lot of sales pitches there, but I'm learning and talking to people. And I did that for 4 straight years before I bought my first property.
Were you when I bought my in the car on those long drives, were you educating yourself?
You got it. So, and one of the things is when I was doing my computer business during the day, right, I'm driving around the metro area, going to different clients, right, servicing their computer needs. Plenty of car time. I think it's Zig Ziglar called it Automobile University, right? Playing those audio tapes and all that, because I was already at a 10,000 hour mark with computers, right? I knew computers, and so I didn't need to add any more education to what I was doing in that field. But I sure enough turned around and said, okay, I've got to learn all these other things. So that's why I'm listening to audio cassettes and all that. This is before you had podcasts, before all these shows were on YouTube. These were cassettes, and so as I'm driving around there, and exactly. And then when I get to these organizations, I've got a list of questions that I'm going to ask the speaker. I'm going to get an understanding.
Pre-plan the questions?
Pre-plan. And here's the key too. In working the plan, one of the things that they tell you in real estate is you have to jump in. You got to do it, right? But I just knew me and my personality. as I wanted to have a really solid, rock solid foundation. So that when I did jump into the deal, right? When the first property that we bought was like in Dearborn Heights. We had the deal set up so that we did not have to, the plan, now we didn't have any money. Here's the key. I had no money to buy real estate, absolutely $0, right? But I knew, and I already figured out that if I find great deals, money comes easy. Right. Money comes easy because money is always looking for a place to go. So we found a property in Dearborn Heights, right? Put the deal together. And I said, okay, put the deal together, had everything looking right, had comparables, had me and my wife, the team and all of that kind of stuff, had all of this on paper. And then I said, okay, I need to go find some investors, all right? So I'm going to go look for investors. I know where they are at these meetings. Let me go to them. But before they go to them, this is part of planning. But let me try out my pitch, right? I'm going to try out my pitch on people in my circle. They probably tell me no, right? First person I tried on, I'll just say the brother's name. His name was Rico. Rico Wiley, brother, who worked, he multiple things, right? Did multiple things. Very wise with his money. I lay out the deal. I had a good, better, best, right? I said, good, we plan to sell this thing. No, I said, the best is we plan to sell this thing in 30 days. You will have your money back plus in 30 days. Was that, no, good was, I plan to sell this in a week, because I've already got a buyer on the hook, right? That's the plan. I plan to sell it in a week because I already got a buyer on the hook, right? Better is, if that buyer falls through, we got to do some rehab. This thing should be sold in 6 months, right? Now, worst come to worst, we can't perform on this. Your name is on the mortgage. Your name on the title. You will take the property back. You've already got a set of maintenance workers and all that. You can take the property back. You can sell it yourself, right? Here's the thing. We're going to buy the property for about 20. We're going to sell it for 45. So there's a good spread in there. Safe. Ain't nobody going to go bankrupt if we fail on our part, right? Now, I'm just pitching to him. I'm thinking, okay, he can be like, well, I can't do it. He's like, oh, that's such a good deal. Pulled out his credit card. Now, you probably wouldn't like this. Pulled out his credit card and put a cash advance on that mug, right? He dropped $20-some thousand on a cash advance because we had done our homework. We put that thing together. And here's the thing. Because we had done the work correctly. We paid him his money back in a week, but we had done it so correctly, we had made our money back in a day. We bought the house like at 12 noon, sold the house at 5 p.m. We got his money the same day with interest, by the way, with interest. And we're like, whoa, we can't give him this money today. He's going to get expected on this. So we waited a week before we gave him the money, right? And then every time after that, we were always able to find bigger and larger investors. At one point, we had investors who live in Texas. They just sent us $150,000 because we had done our homework and we were diligent about taking care of it. That goes all the way back to we developed a plan. We had a plan for every property that we bought, how to run the comps, how to put together the presentation that you take to the investor. So that thing was huge. And we were good at it.
And money follows a plan.
Money follows a plan.
Right?
Absolutely right.
You got a good enough plan, the bank will loan you money. So people will give you money if you got a good enough plan. But like you said, you were diligent about the work and you went and you did what you needed to do to take care of that.
Right.
Take care of not only yourself, but you were effective. And I appreciate the fact that you were honest and said, okay, here are our options. Here's 1,
that's right.
3. So we're not telling you it's going to be this. Because again, we talked about integrity a few weeks ago, right? My integrity says, I'm going to tell you as much as my integrity will allow us to do, right? We're not going to go beyond it, mess it up, but we're going to do this so that your money's safe and you know what's going on with it.
And because of that, exactly what you said, and that was one of the things we put up on the board last week, integrity. Because of that, never, ever, ever had problems getting money for deals. Never had problems.
So why'd you stop? Why did you not go back into real estate?
Because trauma, the trauma of a divorce. It's painful going through a divorce. And at the same time, I believe that there's a spiritual thing. So at the same time we're going through the divorce, all of a sudden we get hit with this IRS audit, right? And this was the IRS audit straight from the devil. It was hard. They wanted to review every one of our bank accounts over 4 years and every single transaction for you. It was crazy. It was a mess. I end up on $543,000 to the IRS that we don't believe that we owe. It was a mess. But I think the door was open. This goes back to integrity too, right? I think the door was open because going through this divorce, could not figure this out, did not have the skills at that young age to work on marriage, make sure your marriage is working too, just to kind of tore the relationship down with my mom. So all of that goes together. You know, if you're going to be successful in business, you cannot be successful in business and then fail at home. One of the things our bishop told us when he sat down with one of his mentors, the mentor, which was an executive over him, grilled him and started asking him questions and found out that he didn't work on Sundays. Right now, this is GM. This is higher executive levels at GM. He said, good, because the thing that I have seen is that an executive cannot survive a divorce, right? Cannot survive a divorce. So you have to have your eyes on both places. You have to make sure you take care of your home life. And so that's why I knew, you know, we did multiple deals, but then the pain of it was just so much. I never wanted to go back and look at real estate.
Got it. So now let's finish this, because you told us this story before, but we've got viewers, of course, that are new, that have not listened. So tell us about how you got rid of that 5.5, because you didn't actually end up paying all of that money back to the IRS.
Oh, no, that's right. So and that took some time, right? It took healing. Now, there's multiple layers to that. But what I ended up having to do was I had to get to the place where I was willing to negotiate them directly. Because the first time they came in, they said, hey, you owe $543,000, right? And then from there, I appealed that ruling, right? Well, when you appeal an IRS ruling, they send the same person that gave you that ruling, they send that same person out. But now that person meets with your attorney. So now I'm paying $10,000 to an attorney to meet with the same IRS auditor, right? And so then they come back and say we owe $180 or $250. So great, you got it knocked in half, but that's still a large chunk of cheddar, right? And so over the years, I had to build up the guts, the gumption. I had to get healed and delivered, because I had this thing with dealing with anybody in authority or with anything that looked like the government, anything that looked like jail. I didn't want to mess with it, right? So I was turning it over to an attorney. An attorney was willing to set up payment arrangements and then work that payment arrangement out to his benefit. And I just had to negotiate and got it to a level to where I could pay it off and then pay the thing off myself in total. So that was the true blessing.
Hallelujah. So we came today, we want to talk about something. We've been talking the last few weeks about traits and skills for entrepreneurs. We've gone over being a visionary. We talked about some of these today: being tenacious, being passionate, having great leadership, being deal makers, negotiators, being good communicators. And we put all those things down, having integrity, all that stuff. And today I thought we would talk about sales and marketing, right? That's sales and marketing, because how many people do you know that I know that have books that are in their garage, or books that have been written but aren't making money because they do not have a plan, or did not have a plan for how to do that? They thought it was like Field of Dreams. If I write it, they will come. Well, that ain't really happening. So,
that's right.
So I see you got some stuff written on the book. It says the mind. What did I say? The mindset what?
This is sales. This is my definition of sales. Just off the cuff.
The mindset something.
I'm finishing that out, because that's entrepreneur. The mindset required to operate and run a successful business.
All right. So let's talk about sales. What you got up there?
Sales. This is what I came off the cuff. What I call is my definition, just off the cuff. The skill set required to acquire leads and customers. Right. That's the skill set, because it's not just the mindset, but the skill set required to acquire leads and then turn those leads into customers. That is not just going.
Let me push back. So I call that marketing.
Yep.
So for me, that's marketing, because I'm trying to get out there to get to let people know that I'm there, and then, or advertising, I guess, and then get them to, because marketing to me is a subset of advertising, but get them to come that I exist and that my product is here. Right? And
that's right.
For me, is asking for the business.
Yep.
Sales is, because many people do not ask for the business. Like one of the reasons, in all those multi-level marketing companies that I told you about, I did not lose money because I was afraid to ask for the business. Right? I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm doing. These are the products. Here's my marketing. But my sales pitch for me was, I'm closing. Right? I need a call to action for you to do something for me.
Yep. So this would be the change. I agree with that. I had one word wrong.
Okay.
So this is the change. The skill set required to turn leads to customers.
Okay.
To turn them into customers.
Yeah.
So what you were out there doing is you were going and meeting people. Those were your leads, right? Yeah. But a lead don't mean nothing if you don't have a skill set that's required to turn them into customers, to make them write that check, to make them give you that direct deposit information. If you don't have that skill set, then that lead never becomes a customer. So that to me is what sales is.
So let's talk about this for a minute, because
Yes.
you like to run your mouth. You talk. I mean, in case you didn't know, let me be the first to tell you, you can talk, Reverend. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Okay, that is like Jesus. You can talk, right?
Takes one to know one.
Everybody's not comfortable asking for that sale. They feel like sales is a bad business, that sales is not honorable, sales is not carry integrity. What would you say to those people that are that have that mindset that is dirty and slimy to be a salesperson?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that you'd have to say that just about any career that you go into, most careers are just, what would you say, amoral. They're neither good nor bad. It's just something, and it's up to you to bring your integrity into that position, right? And so we know, for example, that there's good, better, and best at anything, right? Or I should say, there's good, average, poor at anything. So as a salesman, right? And it's interesting because we don't think of the grocery store as being poor salespeople, right? But they do provide a product and a service, and we go in there and purchase it. They consider us customers. They are selling us something, right? The reason that the food is laid out in a certain way at Meijer is because Meijer has figured out that there's a way to sell this to you so that you buy from us, right? So they're selling. You're always being sold to. To me, there's no specific, and unfortunately, sales gets a bad rap because of the bad people who are bad salesmen.
Let me ask you a question.
That's what I think.
How did you get that shirt that you have on today?
That's right. I had to buy it from somebody.
What about that board you're working on?
We had to buy it from somebody.
The car you're driving.
I had to buy it from somebody.
The people that are giving you a paycheck that you're consulting with, how did you get hired?
That's right. I had to sell them on me.
Right. So the thing is that people, I think, need to change, or we need to get a new paradigm around what sales are, because we do sales in just about everything. A young man trying to get married, a young lady, you're going to have to sell yourself, brother. You got to sell yourself so that she think you're the right one, right? Almost.
But you got some potential. That's right.
We're always in that process, but people have they get very negative when the sale process involves asking for cash. Right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So what are some things, because you sell, right? So what are some things that help you to feel comfortable asking people to sign on the dotted line and give you some cash?
Number one, you need to learn the skill. There is a skill of asking someone for the sale, number one. Then number two is practice. It's practice. And be clear, when it comes to this thing of asking for money, it can be an emotional thing. All types of people struggle with it. I had an attorney, right? And she would struggle. I was like wanting to send her payments because I had a bill, and she would struggle asking for money. I had I forget whether it was a dentist or somebody. They all, in every arena in life, people struggle with this. I have a friend whose father is an electrician, right? He will come out and do your electrical work, but he struggles to ask for the money that he is owed for the work he's just done.
I need to see
this
him.
Is a common thing.
I'll pay him. I need to see him.
I mean, it's a common thing. You know, that's right. I do. I can get his number. It's a common thing. Because I think you live not too far from me, actually, Oliver. So it's a common thing. People struggle with asking for the sale and asking for money. And the way that you get over it, as I mentioned, you learn and you practice. Always be selling, right? Always be selling. Practice. I got to tell you this. I'll tell you this one sales story.
Put a C under that for me, because mine was ABC, always be closing, which is
that's it. There you go.
Same thing, right?
That's right. Actually, yours is the right one. That's right. Believe it or not, Roy got it right.
Well, yeah, I believe it.
So I'll tell you this quick story. When the Lord, and this is how the Lord typically best blesses me, he puts me under a mentor to learn, right? So I'm learning from a guy that's been selling for 40 plus years. And literally he started selling books door to door while he was in college over the summer. If he didn't sell enough books in the summer, he could not go back to college in the fall, right? And he's all over the country, put him all over the country, out in the hot heat, knocking on doors. He had to knock on his first door at 7:59 a.m., right? And he had his last door was 7:59 p.m. So they had a system, right? But he's teaching me, and one of the things he's teaching me, he says, we talk about these leads. When the lead does not call you back, this is something that you can say to the lead. You can leave them a message or leave them a text, but you want to call them. If you don't reach them, you leave a voicemail and you say something along the lines, I'm sorry, I called you. We were having regular communication and then it dropped off. Forgive me if I said something wrong. If I did, I apologize and I'm so sorry about it. I hope to hear from you soon, right? And then you hang up right now. That is the strategy. Must have been my fault that you're not calling me. And what that does in people's minds is it triggers, oh, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Let me call him and tell him what was going on, okay? So even if they're calling me to tell me that, no, we really don't want it, this is too much money, it's $15,000, that's too much to pay, or they're calling me and say, I just got busy. What that would do is trigger them to make that phone call. It worked with about 70% success rate. But when he told me to do it, I was like, it took me like 30 minutes to make my first call, right? So the first time I pulled that out, but then over time, I got practice at it and I was able to do it. That's the skill set required. And then the other thing is just doing it all the time to where you're asking for that. And it's the same thing applies when you're asking for the order.
What part did rejection or fear of rejection play in that?
Oh, that was huge. That's number one. That was the thing. What if, I'm worried about what they're going to think about me, even though I don't know them. So
Right.
That's it. It's that fear of rejection. And it's like, nobody wants to be rejected. So, that's why early in life, even though I love people, or the Lord helped me to learn to love people, I didn't go into sales because I could get rejected. It's like, oh my goodness, that would just be bad, So yeah, that was the biggest part. And then you realize that when you're going through the sales process, the next no eventually is going to turn into the next yes. And so you just keep going at it, and then you get that yes.
Well,
exactly.
so you swim through enough no's to get to the yeses, right?
That's right.
Yeah, you got to do that.
That's it.
So I'm thinking about this now, and it seems like many people not only have issues with the sales portion, but so they don't have a plan. They have an issue with trying to ask for money or close the deal. And I think because of that, as I alluded earlier, many people are sitting at home with tons of product in their garage or in storage units. And as opposed to their product bringing them money, their product is costing them money because they had to have it made. In many cases, again, they have to have it stored. Some people I know are actually paying storage companies to hold books and product. And you had, I think it was a T-shirt or something. Talk to me about
That's
that.
Right.
What happened with that?
That's right.
Forget about it. Did you get off the circuit? What happened?
So a part of that is what you talk about, rejection. So I had some T-shirts that went along with a couple different things that I had done, right? T-shirts that went along with as I was traveling on the speaking circuit, and T-shirts that went along with my boot camp. Well, for one, I shot to the mood. I wanted the best T-shirt design that had ever been created on the planet of Earth, right? I wanted this amazing thing. It required all of this intricate work to be done by the printer. When the printer did it and sent it to me, it was horrible. It was ugly. It didn't represent what I liked, what I thought should represent me, okay? And I should have just started off with some simple plain T-shirt with the words printed dead center. That's what we should have started with. But no, I shot for the big thing. I wanted a design that went from here to here, and it covered half your body. There's too much. And so when I got them, because it didn't represent me, I'm self-judging me, be like, see, you spent all this money, you dumb, blah, 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 blah. And the few people that had placed orders, they bought the shirt and loved the shirt, loved representing it, had my company name on it, PeteThomas.com. They had that. So they love me, they love it, but I was not saying it.
You said it so fast. What.com?
It said PeteThomas.com, said that on the back. So they loved it, but I didn't love it. And so I sold the little ones that I had, but I had hundreds in the storage unit. And I said, you know what? I don't like them. And then one day, this was like 6-7 years later, someone called me to come in and speak. And I said, you know what, let me go get some of my books and really the Lord pushed me. Let me get some of my books, let me get some of my T-shirts, let me take them to this actual event, right? Took them to the event, just set them out on the table, right? I didn't even have anybody back there to take orders, And I had people, can I get one of these? Can I get one of these? Because what I discovered through that is people want to support you when you've sown into their life, right? And so from the speaking engagement, from me teaching them, I had sown into their life. And they wanted to buy a book, they wanted to buy a T-shirt, they were willing to buy whatever I had to support me. Because
so you went to an event, right?
Yep.
And you called it the event, and in many ways, it's a form of marketing.
It is. Absolutely right.
Because the product was PeteThomas.com. right?
That's right.
You're a .com bubble. And so, you know, the product was there, the actual authentic person. And then as you begin to help them, then you were marketing what you represented and what you were about. And once people are able to understand and connect to what your story is, I'm sure you told your story, right?
Yep.
Then now your products become something that they get attached to, they get involved in, and then you move product.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. And so, and that's what I call, like you mentioned, marketing. That's what I call marketing. This is my on-the-spot definition: the ability to shout your message in order to generate leads. Now, multiple ways to shout that message. That's what I like. It's the ability
let's talk about it. What
to
are
get
some
that
of those
message
ways?
out.
Shout it out. Shout it out.
Shout it out. See, there it is. You just want me to sing. I know it. I know it. I know it. So one of the ways is obviously is social media. All right. And so each different area of social media has its own unique twist to it. You've got IG, Instagram, right? You have Facebook, you've got YouTube, you got Twitter. You got all of these different ways to shout your message out. Right?
You left out TikTok and Snapchat.
Exactly. All of them, right? All of them. You know, you got all of those different ways and those different what they call platforms, right? You have your own website. You have Google AdWords if you want to start doing advertising, which we talk about marketing and advertising really kind of go together, right? So you got AdWords as well. So you got all of those different ways.
You got blogs you can do.
That's right. That's right.
You got podcasts, audio and video.
Yep.
Right. Guest spots on other people's shows.
Yep. You've got speaking, you know what I mean? You've got creating books. You got all these different ways.
You can put out
to get your message out.
What do you call those things that you put in the newspaper? The announcements? What do you call
ads?
It?
Obituaries?
No. I hope not for your product. Announcement. It is a product announcement or something. I forgot.
Oh, you're talking about PR, press release.
Press release.
Yep.
Press release.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, just a bunch of stuff people don't think about when they get out there because of, as you started off with, most people are stuck on social media, but there are many other mediums that allow you to get out there. Billboards are still viable. You know, I know I still use billboards when I'm driving up and down the expressway, not as often right now, but you know, all of those things I think work. And,
billboards, radio, TV, you know what I mean? All of these different things, right? We said podcast, speaking, you said blog. Absolutely. All those different ways. Ebooks, you can give away free products, free things. Though give away something free that is that can turn into leads that you end up selling something bigger to. And let me mention this too. One of the things too I wanted before I should have mentioned it. In sales, there's different types of sales, right? There's DTC, which is direct to consumer. Most people are going to be into that. There's B2B, business to business, and then there's enterprise. All of these have their own specific set of skills. The majority of what we're talking about today would be direct to consumer, but they're all have another, they're all a certain set of skills related to all of them. And then this is a very common saying: sales cure a multitude of sins. Sales cure a multitude of sins, right? Does McDonald's make the best hamburger in the world, Roy?
Absolutely not.
But they done sold 1 billion of them mugs. You know what I mean? So sales cure a multitude of sins. And so if you're always selling, if you're selling, then you can work on fine tuning and getting the product just right? But if you have a perfect product and no sales, you're out of business.
Well, you know, one of the things, again, back at the sales, I think part of the issue with a lot of people is that, you know, when I'm thinking about I wasn't there obviously, but when I think about the story you just told about doing the speaking engagement, then selling your product, and you know, you and I being in church, you know, that's what preachers do all the time. They come, they preach, and then they've got product on the product table, so the people who are there to experience them are doing it. Well, one of the things I think messes people up is not having a sales message. What is it that you're trying to communicate with your product? What are you trying to get? What problem are you trying to solve? Whose problem is that? What is their pain? What do you stand for? What are you against? You know, what are those things that you're trying to do? You know, I was thinking about some of that today as I was, you know, just thinking about what we're going to be talking about today. You know, and I was thinking about the fact that for me, excuse me, I want to come against people's poverty of thought. You know, I do it, you know, talking about money and all this other stuff, because I also want you to start living above your privilege, because I think many people live below their privilege because in their head, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the skill set, they don't have the knowledge in their minds to do A, B, C, or D. And I want to make those things simple and easy for people, but it's all leading to you not living a substandard life. You live in a better quality of life. I want to be your better life, your acceleration coach, because I am passionate about you enjoying the life that God has given you. But I've got to have that message clear, and I've got to be able to tell people, so if you call me for A, B, or C, I can do that or I can't, right? I'm not trying to be all things to all men.
That's right. Absolutely. I'm with you. And so, as you've already mentioned, one of the things that you have to do when you have a sales, you have to figure out what is the problem you're trying to solve, what value are you offering to the customer, those things. That one right there is really, really key. What's the problem you're trying to solve?
And then how does your product or service solve that problem, right?
Absolutely.
And then are people trying to solve it? Are they, is it something that they want to do? You know, you and I have been talking over the last few months about me, you know, I've gotten absorbed as of late in Russell Brunson's world. Right. And when what originally happened was I had saw this book, Expert Secrets. I saw the book on either Instagram or Facebook, I don't know which one, and it was a free plus shipping offer. So I paid $7.95 shipping, and I bought the book, right? And as I started reading, nope, that's not true. I saw the book and I downloaded it. It was on Audibles, and so I had an Audible credit, so I listened to it on Audibles. And the stuff was so good on Audibles that I wanted to look so that I could, you know, I like to write in my book, so I, you know, circle and do all my stuff. So I want to do all the stuff that I do, you know, writing and all that other stuff. So I bought that. Then I bought his, you know, .com secrets. I don't know if you can see that, right? Yeah. I did my .com secrets, and I did, you know, expert secrets. I did traffic secrets, all this stuff. But what happened was he told such a compelling story that the story drew me in, because it said, hey, that's what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to learn this internet marketing stuff, and you're telling me the story, and then your product solved that. And so I actually, based on the story you told, sought you out. I came to you. Right. That's good. And I think that the better we are at again, being clear on who we're serving and what our story is, then people, once they hear the story, then they'll come to us, as opposed to us having to try to go out and really, you know, find them.
That's right. And one of the things you mentioned, Amway, one of the things that comes to mind is somebody in that kind of genre. People that use Metaluca products, right? People that use Metaluca products tend to end up becoming great proponents of it, and they end up making money at it because it's based on that story. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to speak for her, I thought that one of our sisters, Safana Samples, I think she had used Metaluca or something like that. She used this organic product, and she talked about how it cleared up her son's skin, the psoriasis, and all of that kind of stuff. That testimonial is incredibly powerful, because now you have other people with psoriasis or these other issues, right? And if they're saying that's a problem, and here it is, you're telling how your product solved that problem for you, and hey, I want that problem solved as well. So that's really, really key. And that's why when you talk about integrity, you will find some salespeople who sell stuff that they do not believe in, right? And they just lack integrity. And that's one of the areas that you want to avoid. So make sure that what you represent, that you can stand up and you can represent it well, you know? So
by the way,
I had my
I need to find this contact number, because the number I have is no longer good. So send that to me.
Good stuff. So I had my cousin was asking me today about the product that I with the company here that I consult with, the product that we sell. And I said, we're the best on the market. And as a matter of fact, I have no problem telling the customer when they call me about a competitor, I said, okay, if you're going to buy that competitor, I just want you to be aware. It will not do this. It will not do that. It will not do the other. So as long as you have no interest in doing those things, that's probably a good choice for you. You know what I mean? Because we have the best. We have the best. I know we have the best. And so what I'm saying is I'm not making anything up. I have confidence in what it is that we sell to the public.
So. One of the other things that I think I want to hit at as we're getting ready to wrap up is this notion of having to take action. I think, again, people, you know, create product, create services, but then they don't take any action. They don't do anything with it. They're not willing to, you know, I think you and I were talking and you're big on Google AdWords. I'm big on Facebook or Instagram ads, like in terms of what I want to do and what type of marketing and stuff. But the point is to take action to the point that I at least learn about it to the degree that if I hire somebody, or if I do it myself, I'm able to discuss with intelligence, what I want or what I don't want, and I'm willing to take some money out of my pocket first and make the investment if I believe in me, the product, and the service. Let's talk a little bit about taking action.
That's right. Well, for me, and this is where taking action really has to do with your own personality. So I mentioned how, and you can see, I think you'll see even the difference between me and Roy. Roy talked about from 2000 to 2005. What were you doing during those years?
I was learning. I was getting my mind renewed about money.
And how were you doing it? Because you said you were working.
I was in Primerica, and I was attending base camp meetings every Tuesday and every Saturday for 2 to 3 hours at a time. I was reading materials. I was out doing sales. So I was learning and then going out getting practical experience.
Good. So, and that's what I want. The reason I bring that up, because Roy, and I also show one of my flaws. Roy, the way that he works is, I'm learning while doing. Right? If I got to learn sales in the midst of this, I'm learning, and I'm also going out and learning sales. I realize I'm an extreme planner, sometimes an over planner, right? I'm going to plan this mug down to the jot and the tittle. Watch your language. I'm going to plan it down to the jot and the tittle to make sure I've got all these contingencies left, right. I've thought about this mug 100 times. But the thing is, I am going to launch, right? I'm just slower with it. And one of the keys is, the key with both of those is, if you're going to launch, learning is a key to it. Keep learning, never stop learning, keep figuring it out, keep your mind a part of that. I think the number one way to learn anything, this is just me, and I'm not a teacher, so you can refute this if necessary. I think the number one way to learn something is immersion. Like, if I need to learn a foreign language, if I need to learn German, drop me in Germany with no money. Right? I'm going to figure out something. I'm going to figure out how to talk to somebody. Where can I get some food? Where is the U.S. Embassy? I'm going to learn the language, right? And you can't come out of here for 2 years. I bet you in 2 years, I'm going to be fluent, right?
You definitely.
And so, to me,
but again, with languages like other stuff you're talking, or anything else you're talking, right? They're tactile learners. They're people who are auditory learners.
That's good. That's right.
So
visual.
You figure out the thing or the set of things that work for you. But at some point, you've got to take action, right? It shouldn't be 2 years and all that. You should be taking some action. Hopefully, you can learn some of Portuguese or whatever language you're learning in the first 6 months, 4 months.
Right, and you start doing it right then. Exactly right. So I'm the type, because I have plans. The other piece for me in launching is what I realized, and the Lord revealed this to me in the last 6 months, is the key for me launching is always having these partners to help me launch, right? Because I am a planner, because I do think through stuff. I need people to do some of the tactile work. So that's really a big key for me. So, but one of the simple ways to launch is, I'm going to set a date and I'm doing it. Yep. Whatever it is, I'm setting a date and I'm doing it. I'm going to constantly, be learning, be figuring it out. I'm setting a date and I'm doing it. Setting a date.
And, I think one of the things that people that, we want to make sure we tell people is that it's not going to be perfect action all the time. Right? The product won't be perfect. The service won't be perfect. As you get and you implement it, right? You're going to figure out where you need to fix it, right?
That's right.
We would be missing hundreds of products. That's why phones are constantly giving updates. Computers are constantly getting updates. We use them all the time, but there are bugs and things that come up that need to be repaired, and they send out patches or updates or whatever you want to call it. But in the same way, you and I may not, people waiting on the perfect season or the perfect time are going to never do it. The Bible puts it this way: if you're waiting on it to not be raining to sow, you aren't going to ever sow. Right? Or if you're to not snow or whatever to harvest, you're not going to ever harvest. You got to decide that I'm going to go and plant, I'm going to harvest, and as I gain more information and learn what to do, I'll fix those steps and then keep going, and you get better as you keep going.
I appreciate that you mentioned the phones and all those kind of stuff. The majority of the time when you got phones, when you got computer, hardware is good. Right, hardware is pretty set because hardware been around for a while. But the software is the thing that you can continue to iterate, continue to perfect. And coming from a software world, I mentioned having an IT company, right? The software world, the number one rule when it came to software, number one rule, SHIP, ship it. Ship that thing, right? We got a date. And so you have to understand from a management perspective, you take Microsoft, the next version of Microsoft Windows, right? They've got a date. Hey, this thing is launching in October 10th, of this year, right? And now the programmers are working to make sure the thing that they get when they launch is not going to break, right? But we launch it. We are shipping that product at that date. And that's what you're saying. Get out there, do it, get it out. And then you can iterate and you can fix as you go. You can come back and repair all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then I think one of the other things that I want to make sure in terms of taking action, right, is if you've got a book or you've got even a product, right, we can pre-order that mug, right? You can build a website, you can get out there and let people know, hey, this is coming, right? And one of the things for me, one of the things I like about that strategy is that it says to people, hey, this product or service is coming down the pipe, and people that are interested, give me your email and I can contact you. And then you got a list of people who are highly interested without you having to go out and do a lot more.
One of the things that Mike Murdoch said is that when he was young in the ministry, right, whenever he went out and sold a product, he had little sheets of paper and he had people to write their name and address on it. And I think he got that idea from another preacher, right, who was a singing preacher. Get their name and address, and whenever he had a new product or project that he was working on, they would write, and they would literally, it's old school, they're writing letters and they're putting them in envelopes, putting a stamp on them, and sending those things off and saying, hey, this project is coming. If you'd like to pre-order, send your check in, right? And that's, so in what's name, in the software world, they call that vaporware. You can sell a product before it's even completed, right? When you think about that, and that's one of the ways to figure out if there's any interest. If you want to write a book, you can come up with the title of the book, you can come up with the chapter outline, you can throw that mug up and you can start taking pre-orders to see what the interest is, and that could be some money that comes in that'll just give you the breathing room that you need to actually get the work done. Yep. Absolutely right.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right. Any closing statements, thoughts, or remarks?
No, one of the things we said as an entrepreneur is the mindset required to build a business, right? It's more than just calling or saying, now I do have this thing. I said there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a hustler, right? An entrepreneur is somebody who's working on a strategy, working on a plan to be successful, right? A hustler would just go from this thing to that thing to the next thing day by day without any unifying plan. I think we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I knew a brother who set up a shoe shine business right in the middle of the hood, right? You ain't doing nothing but paying rent. And then from there, he went to setting up a remanufacture or setting up a resale business for commercial kitchen equipment, right? Right there in the hood. No, you ain't nothing but collecting junk. You know what I mean? So there's no unified plan and all of these different things with no plan. An entrepreneur has the mindset required to build a business. What is the problem you're trying to solve? What's the value that you're presenting to your customer? And you're working on building that business. You're going out using marketing and advertising, right, to acquire or generate leads, and then you're using some sales skills to turn those leads into customers. Bam.
All right. Well, I think that's a good show. Good wrap. Good information. And we're going to ask you, wow, you're going to draw a hangman? What are you drawing? Now he's silent.
Roy.
Wow.
Yes, I am.
You're drawing a hangman. So everybody saw me threatened. I've been threatened now, and it's out there online on the internet for the threat.
Yes,
all right, this is your brother, and that crazy man over there. And we want to remind you of this. The circumstance and situation you face with the Lord Jesus Christ. There is hope. God bless you all.
God bless you.